Just wanted to share some information on hafnium and the price of hafnium. It's up 180% in 1 year, maybe 220% in 2 years. So largely the increase was last year, 2022. And I've had some inquiries as to why that happened, and is it still a good investment now? Is it still going to increase in price? So just a very quick, hopefully 2 to 3 minute video to explain what happened and what's likely to happen in the foreseeable future. So what happened, it's as anybody who's familiar with rare earths is, it's purely driven by supply and demand, and demand increased rapidly last year. I'll explain in the industries involved in a second, but in the short term, supply couldn't be increased because hafnium is a byproduct of mining zirconium. So you can't produce more hafnium without producing more zirconium, and there's only a limited amount in the supply chain. Interestingly, with hafnium is China is not involved here, because although China does produce hafnium, they just produce enough for themselves. The biggest producers of hafnium are the US and France. Now, it's down to demand, and here's the spiel. So demand increased to, I suppose, there's many applications for hafnium, but 2 industries that are really growing are semiconductors. Like computer chips would only be sort of half as strong without hafnium. And superconductors, for example, the Taiwanese Semiconductor Manufacturing Corporation, who produce about 92% of the best sort of superconductors in the world, use hafnium, and demand is always increasing in that sector. But what also happened last year, hafnium can resist very high temperatures. It's used in rods and shields and nuclear reactors. That industry might taper off a little bit as we transition to greener energy. But where we're seeing the demand increase is, one, the aviation industry, I suppose, sort of bounced back after COVID last year. But very interestingly, and this is what will sort of drive demand, say, for the next 10 or 20 years, is the sort of space exploration, if you will, is transitioning, or is already not space exploration. It's now an aerospace industry. I mean, there's no question by 2050, tourism in space will not be unusual. It'll be very common. So the hafnium is needed in rockets, to put it in the simplest form possible. And that's where we saw a surge in, and probably, everybody knows about SpaceX and, Richard Branson's stuff as well. But I suppose you could say there's probably nations as well as corporations needing hafnium for the burgeoning space industry. And that's going to increase. And you probably have maybe some stockpiling going on as well. Hafnium can be stored almost indefinitely in the right conditions. So that's why hafnium went up 180% last year. Now, we've had some, investors rightly sort of, liquidate some of the hafnium. If you'd invested 100,000 in hafnium last year, your portfolio of hafnium would now be sitting at 270. So it sort of makes sense maybe to take out the initial capital, and, you've got your money back, and the rest is all ice cream or gravy, or whatever part of the world you're in, whatever you call it. So the question is it still a good purchase and a good investment? Who knows, to be honest. I mean, look, at the end of the day, who knows? It's purely supply and demand. What I would say, though, is it's still going up in value. I mean, we're only a month into this year. It's still going up, and we don't see, well, to give you one number, the estimate for the demand for the aerospace industry is that the demand will double. It'll be twice that what's available or what's in the supply chain. So it's very likely that it will continue to go up. Maybe not 180% every year, but like all rare earths, what's becoming a reality nowadays is that there's just not enough. Whether that's for all modern technology, for electric cars, for solar power, for space exploration, for wind turbines. The reality is there will not be enough. I mean, this transition, we're trying to global transition to low carbon economies that taking place, say, over the next 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 years. There isn't not enough rare earths, to actually do this. So you'll see some possible car manufacturers go out of business. Some of these, space exploration companies won't make, simply because there is not enough raw materials. So we'll leave it at for today. Thank you very much.